Welcome back. On Monday, an apartheid cop will hear whether or not he will escape prosecution for the murder of anti-apartheid activist Ahmed Timol. Timol died in 1971 after falling from the 10th floor of the John Vorster Square police station in Johannesburg, where he had been detained. Now, you'll recall the original inquest found that Timol had committed suicide, but a reopened inquest last year found that, in fact, he had been pushed to his death, and a judge recommended that Joao Rodriguez be investigated. Well, last year, Rodriguez was indicted, but then he brought an application for a permanent stay of prosecution. It is being opposed by the National Prosecuting Authority and Timol's own nephew, Imtiaz Cajee, who joins us on the line right now. Imtiaz, thank you very much. I think last time we spoke, you were vindicated. You had been saying for years that he was murdered. He was pushed to his death. Now another hurdle. Has it been an emotional roller coaster ride?
Yes, most certainly, Francis. A very, very painful journey. But, we always comfort ourselves that at least in the killing of Ahmed Timol, we've had a reopening of an inquest. We've had a former security branch officer, Joao Rodriguez, charged. Yes, a very lengthy delay where he's now seeking a permanent stay of prosecution. And the full bench will hand down a judgment on Monday. But, Francis, many other families have not seen any progress regarding the killing of their loved ones. And this is absolutely painful that more than 25 years have passed since the birth of democracy, and none of their cases have been reinvestigated.
In your case, in Ahmed Timol's case, at least people know the truth. So he will be remembered as someone who gave his life for the struggle. Is that enough, or do you need justice for Joao Rodriguez?
Justice, Francis. It has to be justice. Yes, historical ruling by Judge Motley on the 12th of October 2017, reversing the 1972 inquest that stated that Ahmed Timol had committed suicide. The annals of history will correctly reflect that my uncle did not commit suicide, but that he was murdered. But apartheid era perpetrators must be held accountable. And Joao Rodriguez, who is still living, must face the full wrath of the law for his role in the murder of my beloved uncle.
Yeah. His argument is that there's been a delay, justice denied because of that delay. What are you saying?
Well, this is precisely why the former TRC commissioners had written to President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 6th of February this year, Francis, where they specifically asked him, to institute a commission of inquiry to investigate the dismal failure on the part of the National Prosecution Authority for not investigating more than 300 TRC cases. And we're saying as victims' families that, we cannot be held responsible for the dismal failure of the state.
Yeah. Surely this would set a dangerous precedent, because if the judge finds in his favor, then almost nobody can be prosecuted, like you say.
So true, Francis, that a lot depends on this particular judgment on Monday, because it will have a direct impact on the reopening of the Dr. Hussein Haffajee inquest, the Dr. Neil Aggett inquest, which the Minister of Justice has pronounced that, that those inquests will be reopened. And apart from those two, all the others that have died in police detention, including activists such as the Craddock Four, will have a direct bearing on the ruling that will be handed on Monday, Francis.
Do you think this requires a special understanding on the part of judges about how the justice system was also used in apartheid, in this case, maybe to vindicate those cops?
No, most certainly. I mean, at the reopening of the inquest in 2017, Paul Erasmus, the security branch officer, testified, and he gave vivid details of collusion between the state and the judiciary at that particular time. And that is precisely why more than 73 people that died in police detention, none of the apartheid-era officers were ever found guilty. They had either jumped from a 10th floor, or they died through national circumstances, or they slept on a bar of soap. This has been a normal trend during the apartheid era.
Are you hopeful? What are you expecting on Monday?
Always hopeful, Francis. This has been a very, very long journey. We know that justice, we know that the truth is on our side. And this is no longer just a matter about Ahmed Timol. It's about Suleiman Babla Saluji, Nicodemus Khawati, Matthews Mabelani, Mabetla Mohapi, and many others that martyrs who have sacrificed their lives. So we are always cautiously optimistic.
And do you believe the courts will look at the fact, based on the inquest finding, He was pushed to his death, but apartheid security police are still lying decades and decades later.
In total denial, Francis. I mean, Joao Rodriguez takes absolutely no responsibility. Absolutely no responsibility. And according to his own version of events, he was the last person in the room with my uncle. And there's overwhelming evidence from forensic and trajectory specialists that my uncle could not have jumped from the 10th floor, as Rodriguez had outlined, but that he was brutally tortured, and he could have only been thrown from the roof or from the 10th floor of the notorious John Vorster Square police station.
All right, thank you very much. That was Ahmed Timol's nephew.